Welcome to the very first episode of Exposure Runs the podcast. I'm your host, Mustafa, obviously creator of Exposure Runs. Just a little bit of background. We started in about March of 2020, created this platform, and it has grown to the point now where I feel like a podcast is only natural. The goal of this podcast is obviously to just create another avenue or another lane for the high school athlete. And not just the high school athlete, but also creating the lane for just the movers and shakers of Chicago culture basketball. Although we, and when I say we, my first guest, although we are technically outsiders, I feel like this platform has grown to the point where, my voice and his voice deserves to be heard. We put in work over the years. He's put in obviously a little bit more work on the court, and we just here to just try something different. I feel like Exposure Runs the podcast will definitely bring another avenue for the high school athlete, male and female coaches, and as I said, the movers and shakers of this community. And with that being said, we're just going to jump right in. Shout out to a Goldmine TV for just being a supporter of our platform, and obviously without him, this isn't even possible. So shout out to him. We've grown our relationship, and I'm looking forward to this business partnership moving forward. So shout out to him and his platform and his family. All right, with that being said, we're just going to jump right in. Our first guest is none other than my firstborn son, Xavier Sulaiman, recent graduate of Oaklawn High School, class of 2023. With that being said, I guess that's my first question to you, son. What does it feel like being a high school graduate?
I mean, it feels good. A little bit of freedom now. It's conscious like summer break, but I got that diploma. Sitting around.
Summer break with a diploma.
Summer break with a diploma. So I mean, it's good though. So I know that's a big accomplishment. Of my life. So it's good.
That's good. I don't want to go any further without, obviously you've been hearing it for the last couple of days, obviously leading up to and then from the moment of graduation. But, I wouldn't be me if I didn't obviously let you know again, like, your mother and I, we are extremely proud of you, and we're very excited for your future. Like, you have definitely exceeded. And when I always say that, when I think about saying that, I don't want to make it seem like I didn't have high expectations for you, but you've definitely exceeded the expectations that were there. You are definitely you're a really good. You're a really good young man. Like you just happen to have come from my balls, but you have definitely. You're a good son, and I think that's important that you know that. I don't ever want anything to happen to me without you realizing how much you mean to me. So we're going to try to have a little fun with this. And, I mean, you already know you live with me. So you already know how this is going to go.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. So with that being said, you know that this Exposure Runs platform was solely created for you. What does that mean when you know that, when you hear that? How does that make you feel?
It honestly, it's like almost like an honor a little bit, but I mean it's real good. Like it's a good feeling that got something that's that was solely made for me, and then other people have gotten their shine off of it. Some of my teammates are basketball friends. They've grown their name off of the Exposure Runs, games or write ups. It's honestly like really cool. We like look at it from the outside, you know, having your dad create a platform for you and for other people. So I mean, it's good.
You've seen the beginning of Exposure runs. Like, of course, you were there at that very first run with Mattis and JJ and Day Day. Nicknames is crazy too, by the way. Diggy and all of y'all, Shikachi, just to kind of name KJ, just to kind of name a few of your basketball peers. Do you remember that first run? And if so, like, what specifically do you remember about it?
I mean, yeah, of course I remember that first run. Everybody in the gym. I mean, we was all just just hooping. I mean, now Mattis is projected to go first overall, and the next upcoming years, and that's all of the Mattis love Mattis, and JJ, they all doing their thing. Diggy, shout out to all of them. But it's like back to like that run. It was cool being in there. Competing with everybody. The top players. Then and now. It was real cool, and I mean, just being in there, hearing everybody talk and everybody communicate on the court. It was fun.
What I remember about that day is that the two things really stick out. Number one, it was like a few, I want to say days, but it might have been about a week or two before the country shut down, because it was like right as COVID was happening.
Yeah.
Right. So COVID was happening, and they were like shutting things down. But I just remember, number one, the first thing I remember is because no basketball was going on, Mattis' mom like offered to pay me, right? And I don't mean pay me like to bribe me, but she was like so surprised that I was doing something like this. She felt like I should be charging, and she felt like there was a monetary value to this. And from that day all the way up till now, I've never charged. I don't know if you know that or not, but I've never charged any player to come through an open run. And we've grown the runs from that gym to different gyms, and now the last few runs have been in down at 167 Green. So just kind of talk a little bit about just kind of like, did you think that this platform will grow to the way it has, or where it has grown?
Yes. Obviously from the first one, having all those people in the gym, all the cameras in there, I already knew it was going to be something special. Having all the top players in one gym, that's already a big whatever. And then, from the other runs, having some more top players coming in, and different players, mostly every time, some of the same players. But I mean, I kind of knew eventually, that it would turn into something, big. And I mean, obviously, it's just the beginning, so it's, still more to grow, from, the first one to the more recent one that just happened. It's still gonna be more to come from that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because from the first recent one, even till now, shout out to all the players that have come through. Some players I feel like I want to be careful with how I word this, because I don't want to come off as I'm taking credit for their hard work. But I do feel like some players who they were like right there on the doorstep, I do feel like them coming through the runs and competing with those high level athletes really allowed them to kind of showcase themselves, and give other people who were there an opportunity to kind of see them and kind of then blow up those names. Two names that come to mind is obviously Big Owen, when he came through the run, when we were at that other situation, and then even Rich Barron. Like, again, I want to be crystal clear about not saying that they were discovered because of me, or because of our platform. What I do want to say is that I do humbly do take credit for providing a platform for them to further show how great of a player that they are. And obviously it's been some other players, but those two players come to mind. And I remember Owen coming through and just completely dominating. His footwork was just amazing. He just was a really nice guy. His father and his mom. So can you talk a little bit about just how yourself, because I guess I could say the same thing for you as well, like, which is the reason why I started the platform. I felt like, obviously biasly as dad, I felt like your skills was right on par with a lot of those players in your class, because remember specifically, it was for your class. Mm-hmm. And I felt like you wasn't getting write-ups like you deserve. I felt like a lot of it had to do with the fact that we wasn't from here. They was hating on you a little bit, quote unquote. And you know how we are as a family. It's like, all right, cool. Like, I ain't gonna bitch about it. I'll just do something about it. And so kind of talk a little bit about how the platform has helped, specifically you, elevate your notoriety.
It's helped in multiple ways. Having the highlights come out of it. People saying that I can do more than just dunk, obviously, but people saying that I can play with and or against these other top players. Like you said, Owen. Shout out to Owen. He just won state, right?
Yeah, I think him and
what's the Brock?
Brock, yeah, they did.
Shout out to them. They just won state, and but the notoriety part, it has helped a lot, with getting the write ups, and I try not to get my head too much into it. A write up, it's nice, reading it, seeing what the person who is writing it up, sees what you are bringing to the court. You read it, that first minute or two after you read it, you feel good. Then it's you get right back on the court and you keep playing. It's kind of like with rankings. Rankings obviously are good. The higher the rank is, your rank is it's nice. But when you step on that court, that rank don't really matter. You gotta keep on playing. So.
Yeah. That is definitely true. Speaking of those rankings, I early on, I'll admit that, again, as dad, I saw your rankings, saw where you were at, who was ahead of you, just kind of being careful with that, because as an adult, it does get competitive with other adults thinking that your son is better than, right, and just being careful with never putting down someone else's child, even though, like, I've been in circles or been privy to, or word got back to me about how, people would, like, really kind of talk about you. And, I can remember one specific case where, you know how I can get, like, so, like, it almost went there, but I just decided to ignore it. When you talk about rankings and seeing how specifically you fluctuated. So from the first run, you wasn't ranked. Those guys, rode up and saw your game, and then you was eventually ranked in the top 10. And, for a while, you just kind of fluctuated in that top 25 among your peers. You dropped, you came up, you dropped, you came up. The last ranking had you at 50th in the state through Prep Hoops, and shout out to Prep Hoops. Those guys over there, they've done a phenomenal job, I feel like. They've just done a phenomenal job. When you talk about rankings, did you ever look at a ranking and see where that list was at and be like, I can't believe this motherfucker is ranked ahead of me? Or was it something like, all right, cool, like, next time I see him, I'm gonna bust his ass? Or a combination of all of that?
It's a combination of both. Because I know I'm not. I know it's not 49 players better than me. If I'm ranked 50th, I know it's not 49 players better than me. So, I mean, if I see, I mean, obviously I had to, had to put a name to a face. If I see them or if I'm playing against them, obviously I'm gonna go out on just to, prove that, I am better than you. But I mean, I really don't put too much thought into it, because like I said, our rankings don't, uh, whatever you on the court. So, when you get on the court, it's, doesn't really matter what your rank is. I'm gonna go right at you. And that goes for players who, if they are ranked below me or ranked above me, I'm sure that they've gone at me and try to go for my neck. So I mean, it's all friendly competition all around. So
Talk about your favorite basketball moment, if you can recall.
I got a few. Obviously this past year, going against Mount Carmel, having like 33,
Mm-hmm.
and then having the like the game sealing windmill dunk. That was that crowd. It was great. Being there.
Did you know you was going to windmill it when you got that fast break? Like, what was you thinking on that pass?
I knew I was going to do a windmill like at like a minute and like a minute left in the game. I was telling Mouse, Aham, Salah, goes by Trey Weezy. I was telling Mouse, Rob, Corey, and whoever else was on the court. I think it was Henry. I was like, I'm going to get a windmill. Like whether the time goes off or not.
You just going to do it.
I'm just going to do it because we had that full momentum coming out of halftime. Coming out of halftime, it was actually a really good game. That game, going into halftime down by 18.
Yeah, it was a double digit.
Just going into halftime, getting everybody motivated. Coach coming in, getting everybody motivated to come out and just come out hooping. But yeah, that's probably up there. Another moment was my first in-game dunk. That was because it just so happened to be on Mama's birthday.
Right.
The reactions from everybody, your reaction. It was that was a a high off life moment. It's a few more like my freshman year against St. Lawrence had like 14 going into the fourth quarter. Obviously, and then not playing
I remember that
fourth quarter. But
you was cooking them as a freshman when they finally moved you up, man. Came in and sparked them a little bit.
It was good. Then I mean, it's moments here and there. Some AAU moments. A big moment. 8th grade, that game winner.
That was, against Ariel.
Yeah, that was a big moment. Going against. J.J. Taylor, Jay Griff, Mike. I think they had one more player that's really good, well known. That's my bad for not remembering, but that 8th grade team. Even going down state, but yeah, that aerial game was great.
I'm glad you brought that up. Remembering that game, that back and forth game, and Jay Griff got that bucket,
mm-hmm.
and Coach Moffitt called that timeout.
Mm-hmm.
The play wasn't for you. Who was the play for?
The play was for Ray. The play was for Ray. Lier was supposed to go to the corner, to the opposite corner, but he ended up going. No, yeah, I think he was in the corner. He crashed down. And I was supposed to clear out to the corners just to give space. And, the ball gets inbounded. I run down, and JJ's guarding me. And Jay Griff was guarding Ray. And they sent a double team. Ray did a little spin, and then he got whatever with the ball. And I was just yelled one time Ray. He just threw me the ball. I just put it up because I knew it was a few seconds left. I just kind of threw it up, just hoping it went in. And like it was kind of like a movie moment. I always say like it was like a movie moment. Like,
Slow motion.
it was like slow motion. It was like the ball was going through the air. Everybody was like whatever, and it went down. And then like just starting to run around. And, you know, seeing the video, it's like the videos doesn't do it. You know, the justice of being
In that moment.
You know, running around, everybody chasing you. But that was definitely a good moment. Even though I do remember the same day the Eagles lost in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, besides that, you know, the Eagles losing, but that was definitely
a good moment.
a great moment.
Okay, all right. From there, y'all had a really star-studded, dare I say, like a that 8th grade Colin Powell team was kind of like y'all was stacked. You had Lier, you know. Well, first of all, before you even transferred in, and of course I know this story because I'm dad, but before you transferred in, they had a pretty decent team that went downstate the year prior.
Yeah, I know.
They had Ray, they had obviously Bryce, Diggy, Lier. Those were the 3 main players. Of course, then they had Devin and the little fella, I can't remember his name. Rose, and then
Josiah.
It was Josiah. And then when you transferred in, that kind of gave additional credibility to that team. Like, I know it was only 8th grade. Y'all was kind of like rock stars a little bit. Yeah. I mean, just around the school and at games. Like, y'all games was packed. Like, packed. Y'all had high school coaches from all over coming in trying to, recruit y'all. Just talk a little bit about that. Like, remembering what that felt like. That was, I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that was like your first taste of rock starness as a basketball player, yes?
A little bit. I mean, even though, people, they wasn't really like acting whatever in school. I mean, unless it was like right after the game, really. But I mean, it was cool. And with that whole 8th grade team and everybody that was on that team, like today, if it was to have like a little reunion or whatever, or like a reunion game, like. And I always like talk to Lier about, if we had our skills now, then playing, especially with everybody on that team, people don't even really know that we had, Quentin Hetty on that team.
Right. Somebody told me that.
Donovan now, Donovan Jusang now, he's a YouTuber, but he's grown a lot, good left hand player. Everybody on that team, Bryce, obviously, Ray, me, Lier, Devin, Rose, Josiah. I think Rose play football now, but everybody on that team. If we had our skills now, then I mean, ain't nobody beating us. Like, that aerial game is probably a blowout. Downstate blowouts, and that downstate game. I always say it was a robbery. I always say it's a robbery, but it was a good game against Springfield Grant. Obviously the year before I got there, they lost to Springfield Grant, on a heartbreak Hail Mary half-court shot. Going into that game, I was locked in for them. I was trying to, get us to that. Yeah, trying to avenge it. And
I think you had 30 that game too.
I know I had like 20-something.
Yeah,
I don't know if it
yeah.
was 30, but,
Yeah.
me and Lier coming down, back to back to back, getting buckets. I'm coming down, getting N1s, and then came down to, what was it, down by 2 or down by 1. I got the rebound, coming down, did like a Euro step, and I got fouled, but I guess the dude, I guess the foul kind of got canceled because the dude blocked it. Another dude blocked it. But, I mean, that was a good game. That was another, high off life game.
Do you think if y'all win that game, y'all win state? Y'all would have had to go against East St. Louis.
Yeah, but they got blown out by Springfield Grant.
Oh, yeah, they did.
So it was like, if that's us having a good game, and I know they had that big player, but he was he wasn't though. He was just like an intimidation factor for them. But I mean, a lot of coulda, shouldas, what ifs, But I mean, we obviously took our anger out on that team and that third place game.
Yeah. Y'all blew them out pretty bad.
But I mean, that 8th grade team, it's a good team. A lot of good guys on that team. A lot of guys I still talk to this day. Obviously, they all stay connected. I see Lear, Ray, Rose, Diggy all hanging out with each other. It's good to see. All seeing them hanging out.
All right, so just kind of switching gears a little bit. Obviously, the profile or the the scouting report on you is like obviously an athletic player. Jumping out the gym. Obviously, you get all that shit from me a little bit, but you've been dunking since 7th grade. You've had quite a few highlight dunks over your basketball career. I mean, from that first time all the way up until your high school career. What's your favorite dunk in terms of dunking on somebody?
My favorite dunking on somebody. I had to say the first one, even though it wasn't on camera at Villanova. And it was like a Villanova side gym. It was for my. It was a friend.
Yeah, it was a friend of ours. They was having like a little
fundraiser,
right?
And it was like a little basketball, whatever. And it was like me, my homie Mick, and his cousin Cameron. Shout out to both of them. It was just kind of just us three, and a few I guess their friends. They weren't really.
They wasn't really that good.
But like us three, we was like kind of keeping us in the game. We was going against like some older players.
Yeah, some older players, some pretty good players too.
And we was staying in the game like, we was at most probably down by like 15 maybe, but we was staying in the game. That whole game. Cam was hitting threes, and Mick, he was doing his thing on defense, and hitting a few layups, a few shots, and that game was good. But in that game, I remember getting a steal, and I kind of split the defenders, past half court. And I kind of just went up like, oh, it's just gonna be a regular dunk. And as I'm going up, I kind of feel like a bump. I just dunk it. I'm like, oh, just dunked on somebody.
Right.
And I kind of like, what's the, like how when Jason Tatum dunked on LeBron?
Oh, right.
I kind of like bumped him like a little bit. Like, I didn't really know what to do. I'd say that was probably like one of my favorites. Another one is my junior year against Marion, dunking on my guy Quentin. I didn't think I was going to dunk. I actually thought he blocked it, or I thought I was going to miss. I was kind of scared on the fall, but because I know I was in the air for a long time, and the pictures and the video
do it justice.
Do a little bit of justice, but my guy Quentin. But yeah, that was a good dunk. I didn't want to, not to say I didn't want to dunk. I wanted to dunk on JJ. Because he posted.
He was dunking on everybody.
He was dunking on everybody, and he got me. But he got me on like, I didn't jump for it. I didn't think he was going to dunk the ball. Because like the play before he dunked him, and this was during the summer.
Right.
And JJ got me. He at the play before, he like missed a layup, like a wide open layup. I'm like, oh, he can't like dunk or like whatever.
Right.
So like when he like on that fast break, and y'all see the video or whatever. He went up and like kind of like in my head, and like you can see like in video, I like kind of noticed like he just kept on rising. I'm like, what is he doing? And he dunked it. I'm like, okay, all right, okay.
So when you are a dunker, you have to be prepared to be dunked on.
Yeah, I mean, and another one, Jalen Falcon. Oh my God, he got me. Luckily, that was not on camera. So I feel like that was probably worse than the JJ one because I actually jumped. And he got me.
Yeah, Jalen definitely got you good.
He definitely got me good. That's when I always like he got me because right before that, like we was like we had like a little like open run and just like some off to the side. A couple players came up. We was just chilling, and then like after the runs, like it was like one of those like little whatever. It was like, let me try to dunk on you, or let me block it. He went first on trying to block me, and he blocked me.
He got you. Yeah.
He blocked me, and then they was like, Jalen, you go, and he went up. I thought I got it because I got like a piece of it. He slammed it. Everybody's running around. I'm like, I'm kind of looking to see if everybody got on camera. I'm like, and no one got on camera. They was like, do it again. I'm like, okay, so no one got on camera. And then he didn't do it again, but I kept he blocked me again. Then he blocked me again. He blocked me like 3 times. I was like, all right, he got it. But yeah, there's people who have I think that those are like the only 2 people who really got me. Others were like, I was like trying to like block it like from behind or whatever. Another one was like kind of in that same whatever with JJ. I think it was the game before when I like jumped from like the red line and I dunked on like that fat dude.
Oh yeah.
Or that kind of husky dude. And I kind of remember like,
oh yeah, that was that was Ricky Moore's thing. He was having these games out in Indiana because Indiana was the only state that was allowing games, and I got that on. I got pretty much all your shit on tape.
And I remember because he shot the ball. Like, that's his first time shooting a 3 that game. I'm like, what's he doing? And I got the rebound. And he was like it's just like all open. It's just like open up. And he was like sitting there. It was like almost like sitting there under like a spotlight. He was like with like a sign on his chest, like dunk on me. he tried
to take a charge.
Tried to take a charge. He was like, I remember jumping. I was like, okay, I'm just dunking on him right now.
So you dunk on Quentin. Shout out to Quentin because he's definitely going to be a guest on the show. I would say my top 2 is Quentin, and when you was playing at Marist JV, when you got that steal on that kid and dunked on him. Against St. Patrick.
That was the first one on camera.
Yeah, St. Patrick. Yeah,
I remember that one. I got a tech though.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't deserve a tech though. But we was down by like 20 that game. He was playing like doodle, and I just stole the ball. I just went up. I was like, kind of as I'm stealing the ball, I'm like, I might as well just try something. Like, we're down like 30. Might as well. But yeah, another one that same freshman year. Against Beasley, I think it was, or whatever school. No, it wasn't Beasley.
It wasn't Beasley. It was
that green team.
Yeah, agriculture or something.
Yeah,
Christian something.
I remember at the jump ball of that game, my guy Josh Ellison and Sebastian Drag, shout out to them. They were like, as I'm about to do the jump ball, they're talking about the dude who's doing jump ball with me. He's like, oh yeah, he got more bounce than you. Oh, he don't. So I remember. I think Sebastian got a steal coming up.
Through that perfect pass. Yep.
And he like jumped and I just went up and I just slammed it down. Yeah, I like trying to I have more posters at practice than I do in game.
Oh wow.
Yes, I have especially this last year at Oak Lawn. There was a lot of posters, my guy Devin, Double O Dev, love Devin, and my guy Henry, Well, yeah, it's been, and my guy Kyle Bader. I got some good ones on him. I remember one during the open run. That's actually one of my favorites because it happened during the open run, and it was like a putback. And I dunked it super hard, on his head. He fell, and everybody surrounded him, started it was hilarious. But I mean, I got some good dunks, in my.
Going back when you talked about the Villanova thing, for a lot of people who don't know, obviously, us being from Philadelphia, and those that do know, I mean, yeah, we're originally from Philadelphia. So you grew up in Philly. You moved to Illinois in 2013. Tell us about that. Tell us about that move. Do you remember it? Just kind of talk a little bit about the Philly, moving from Philly to Chicago.
I always remember that first night, eating some Heralds. First time having some Heralds. The move, mommy, told me about, probably gonna move out to Chicago. I was like, other places in Philly? Like, as a kid, you really don't recognize. You just think, the place that you're at is
That's
that
it.
place. Like, that's it. Like, that's the world. Like, and then, she's like, that's somewhere else. Like, that's a whole different state. Like, you're gonna be moving away from family. I'm like, well, like I'm not gonna be able to see my cousins all the time or have, spend the nights. It was definitely hard. Obviously, moving away from family, missing all the family events. Um, knowing that it's gonna be like a restart almost. Not knowing anybody out here in Chicago. Um, Going to the school that you don't know nobody. Just being obviously like you said earlier, like the outsider. Um, but I mean, it turned out to be good. Obviously with the basketball and meeting new people and creating bonds with people that have structured my way to this point.
How difficult was that? And I know you were young and kind of just in those early stages of understanding, like your feelings and things of that nature. But from then to now, when you have a little bit of a better grasp on your feelings, I would imagine. Just talk a little bit about like how difficult that was. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but like, did you have nights to yourself from then at any point all the way till now where you like, and I don't like it here. I want to go back home.
Definitely that that first like 3-4 weeks, I was like, there's nobody really out here. Like it's just my parents, and there's no whatever to y'all at all. Cause
None
it's like,
taken.
I mean, you want to be with your family, but you also want to be with your other family.
Right.
You want to hang out with your cousins. You want to have, like I said, have those spend the nights. Those hangouts, those all nighters. Um, it was definitely run my mind. Like I don't really want to be here. I just want to go back home. To now. I mean, not now that I kind of understand more. I still have some nights. Not necessarily thinking about oh I want to go back to Philly, but like like
Just missing family.
yeah, just missing family.
Right.
Missing like I said, birthday parties or events.
Or just regular getting to hang out.
Yeah, just regular getting to hang out. With my cousins or with friends from Philly.
And a lot of your friends from Philly are children of friends of me and your mom's. Kyler and obviously Amir and Mick, and so like it was. I can tell you that it was very important for us that you had that, number one, and it as as a father, it really did bother me that that was a part of your development that you were going to be missing, particularly with your cousins. Obviously, going to spend the night over there with Deanne and all them, and Akil, and then of course my brother Yusef, who was about the same age as you, a little bit older, but it did kind of bother me a little bit that I was unplugging a portion of your development from that regard. But I will say that I thought you handled it well. I always knew and know that. I mean, just like now, like obviously we planning to try to go to Philly, but like at the drop of a dime, you ready to go to Philly.
Yeah.
And even when we go, like after a few days, I'm over it. It's like, all right, cool, we came, we got our little cheesesteaks, this, that, the other, third. Now I'm ready to go back, but a lot of times I know you be wanting to stay, and you used to spend summers there with Erica and all of them. So I know and knew how important that was. What do you remember about living in Philly other than cheesesteaks?
I remember a lot. Obviously, the area I stayed in. Well, I guess both areas that we stayed in. When you moved out here, then you had to move down to like the city a little bit.
It's like Southwest.
Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really remember hanging out with like Kamai, shout out Kamai. Just hanging out with the family. Going up to my school primos at the time, or just going up to those courts outside. You know,
Oh yeah, that you could like dunk on.
yeah, my first little dunks. I remember a lot. Clifton Heights. What's that school called? That was first Westbrook Park. That's where I first really started playing basketball up there. I remember a lot. It's a lot of nostalgia. When I think back, to those, those old moments. And
you remember going swimming when we lived in the apartment complex?
I remember going swimming with Gigi. Yeah, I remember a lot. Going swimming at Kamaya's house. But yeah, I have a lot of memories that will like. I guess I could say trigger when I see those things.
Right. When we
get a little bit of flashbacks. When we pass Westwood Park, or we go through that Clifton Heights area, go to Philly Wings and get some wings or a cheesesteak from up there. But yes,
okay,
it's cool.
What do you like most, and what do you dislike about living here?
I mean, I like the people out here. They're cool. Obviously depending on like the group you're with or the people you get to know. I feel like I've met some pretty good people out here. It's not really a lot of stuff that I really don't like. I mean, I don't really like the deep dish pizza. So I mean, I guess y'all could bash me for that. I don't really like deep dish pizza. I'm a picky eater anyway. So, but I mean, it's a lot of stuff too. Like out here, it's some nice sunsets. Depending on where you are, it's pretty quiet. Obviously, depending on where you are. Like I said, the people out here, most of them have good intentions. I've luckily hanging around the people, or got to know people that have a bright future ahead. So for some football players like Jamel Howard, shout out to him, Big Mel, Trey Pierce, Ryan Sims, Corey Rashad, some of those guys that play football, and if they don't play football, they just have good hearts, like Nick Bunda, my guy, like I said, like Lier, Ray, all of them, it's a lot of good people here, with good hearts, they come up from good backgrounds.
When your mom and I, we kind of, when we get a chance to like kind of talk to you, and I feel like your mom and I are very open and honest with you and very transparent, and we talk, we don't baby you, we talk about that whole dynamic when it comes to friendships, and admittedly how concerned I am sometimes with, I'll go on record and say that a lot of times, I don't let you hang out with, a lot of people or big groups. Or, I mean, admittedly, even some of the people that you've named, because I don't feel like they have your best interest at heart. I always feel like they see you as an outsider. So if something was ever to go down, they wouldn't have your back. Like I know that Mick would, or Kyler would, or even Amir would. Like, talk a little bit about that, about knowing how I feel in that regard, and is that something that you felt, or you just kind of picked up on because I said so?
It's kind of thing I picked up on, like anytime, obviously before I started driving. Anytime, it'd be like me and Lier, Gary asked to go somewhere, I would try to put myself in your head.
Okay.
Like your perspective. That's why sometimes I'd be like, nah, my dad gonna say no. But I mean,
with that thought, when I remember you having some hesitations at times asking us, do you remember me always telling you
it's better to ask?
It's better to ask.
Just to see.
Just to see, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. It was like some of the whatevers, I'll be like,
I just
know that he's gonna say no. I just know. Like, there's no point. Not there's no point in me asking, but it's like I just know what his answer's gonna be. I'd rather just accept it right now than to hear it from him. But I mean,
has there ever been a time where you felt like I know he gonna say no. So 2 questions: where you felt like I was going to say no and I said yeah, and where I said no and you kind of like walked off like, man, hating ass nigga. Like I want to go.
Oh yeah. Like the first time the team went to Dave's, you said no.
And why?
Because of the area, but the area not even that bad.
It wasn't the area.
Why? Oh, because of the team?
No, because it was the first night y'all wanted to go, and it had just started sleeting and hailing and snowing.
Oh yeah.
And at that particular time, and I ain't saying that much has changed, you were still a new driver. That would have been your first Element drive. And
Oh, it's not. I had an Element drive before that.
okay, I felt like it was the first one, but that area. I mean, not area, but that distance was like pretty far, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me why y'all wanted to go so far.
It's worth it. Dave's Hot Chicken. Shout out to Dave's Hot Chicken. It's worth
Oh,
it. Shout out.
they ain't no sponsors.
I ain't trying to sponsor nothing. Also, shout out to Sean Ryan, Sean Capone. He, has put us on to a lot of food places this season.
Okay.
He's our food guy.
Okay.
So after the game, we'd be like, Sean, where we going? We'd be like,
that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah,
but he
on it.
He undefeated.
He undefeated.
Okay. All right. Solid. Sadate. All right. Who has been your favorite teammate?
Oh, I have a few. Favorite teammates. Obviously, this past year, Corey Lee. We would go at it like at practice. You would think me and him hated each other, but off the court, we like always hanging out. Corey, he really pushed me to a new level this past season, and he said, he gave my flowers just recently. When I was up at the open runs, watching them play. He was like, you made me better. I was like, yeah, Corey pushed me at practice, even though I hated it. Because Corey, he does everything he does is like annoying. Like he has this one move, and like everybody can.
You know what's coming.
He has this one move like where he like slows. It looks like a travel. He got called for a travel for a couple times. It looks like a travel. He's taking 2 steps, but they're super slow. There's it's like slow. It's like Kyle Anderson slow.
I can't stand him neither.
And like he like does like he goes like he'll like push you a little bit as he does it. So like now you're off balance or you trying to jump and swipe at it. And he just like don't be budging a little bit. But I mean definitely gotta say Corey Lee, shout out to Corey. Gotta say Lear, it's like we know each other's moves. So anytime we 1-on-1 or we played against each other at practice at Marist, it was battling a little bit. We never really trash talked each other though. Who else? Mason Ross. He's a good teammate. I love Mason. Jeremy Fears, Jeremiah. I really don't have any bad teammates. I've had some instances like where got a little chippy, but I mean I like all my teammates. But some of my favorites definitely Corey, Lear. Mason, Jeremy, he was a good one, in the pro-am, leader, Diggy, Ray, Makai, on that Blaze team. There's definitely a lot of favorites, but the main 2 I'd have to say is Lear and Corey.
Okay. Who was your toughest matchup?
My toughest matchup, of all whatever.
Yeah, through all 4. So let's do it. Let's do it from middle school, from 7th or 8th grade, and then throughout high school. Who was your toughest matchup?
8th grade, my toughest matchup probably had to be Khalil. We played Hickory Creek. He was because that was like a game. That was a tough game for us. Because he was just giving out buckets. He was, whatever to Ray. He was killing Ray. He was kind of killing me a little bit. It got so whatever that we put Diggy on him. Because Diggy knew his like whatever because he played with him on Victory. we put Diggy on him for a few and got a few stops. I definitely have to say Khalil in that 8th grade year. 7th grade, I was at Hoof, that whole Colin Powell team. Because, I mean, it's just me.
Right.
High school, my hardest matchup. My guy Angelo from junior year, he wasn't missing.
Oh yeah.
You play Mount Carmel at Marist, he was not missing.
Yeah. Angelo.
I couldn't do nothing with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like going into that game, we was locked in for that game, but then something happened in the stands right before the game started. But I think that kind of like threw us off a little bit. But definitely gotta say Angelo. He killed me that game. I'll admit he killed me that game. And going into this past year playing Mount Carmel, I was like,
it was a little bit of a payback type thing.
Yeah, I was making sure I got him back. I definitely wanted to get that win, but I made sure I got him back.
And they also have what's the young man? DeAndre. I like DeAndre.
DeAndre's a good player. Who's another matchup I had that was like kind of? I'm trying to think.
What about that matchup between you and Hetty in that Hillcrest game?
I was just about to say Hetty. Hetty was the first person to block my mid-range pull-up.
Mm.
And it
I
kind of
lost $100 on that game too.
It kind of shook me a little bit when he blocked that mid-range pull, because I thought I had him. I got a good lift on that pull-up, and he jumped a little late, and I was like, oh yeah, let me get this out. Like either I was gonna miss it or I was gonna make it. And he just jumped up super lanky and just kind of like threw it on the ground. I'm like, okay. All right. And then obviously, I'm sure, people, they go on my page, they see the highlight of, me hitting that spin move on Hetty and hitting the floater and going like this. Mm-hmm. Me and Hetty, competed that game. I love, playing against, people that's going to make me work for my buckets. And obviously people who's going to let me get my buckets.
Right.
But people who's, I know when I'm playing against people who's going to make me work to get my buckets, I can show that I can do more than just dunk.
Right.
Like I can shoot the ball, I can facilitate, get other people open. And it was pretty good. But like I said, Angelo definitely is up there. It's somebody else. I feel like I'm forgetting that we had a nice little battle. I have had some, summer league battles, AAU battles. I mean, I played against Rayvon Griffin, but he wasn't really all that when I played him. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I played him, he was killing my boy Braden. Like when I got him, he didn't really score. He scored off of a pick and roll. That was it. Mm-hmm. JJ Taylor in that aerial game, he didn't really score that much, but just knowing he's like the number one player, it's like okay,
right.
But yeah.
Who would you say was barbecue chicken guarding you?
Oh,
like who you gave buckets
Corey
to?
Lee. Corey Lee, Lier Collier, anybody who's guarded me. But barbecue chicken. There's been a couple people that was barbecue chicken guarding me. I don't really know their names like that, but I mean, they know who they are. There's been a couple people who's gave me fits and who I've been okay. But I mean, everybody's like I said, it's all friendly competition.
Kind of switching gears a little bit. If you had an opportunity and me and your mom didn't put so much emphasis on the educational component of you playing high school basketball, and also my personal feeling of always just wanting you to create your own path as opposed to, joining other people's shit that they had going on. Mm-hmm. Which Illinois super team would you have wanted to play with? Juliet West, Hillcrest, Whitney Young, or Kenwood?
Hillcrest.
Why?
Playing with Diggy, with Quentin, DB. No, I feel like that. That whole team. You implement me in there. If you implement me, any of those teams. People have asked me if I thought about going to Kenwood before. I said a little bit. Playing with Day Day. playing with my guy Calvin. You know, me and Calvin be like Lob City. What was that? Juliet West playing with Jeremy and Jeremiah and Matt, and Whitney Young playing with Dalen and Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those will all be pretty.
Anthony Munoz is there too.
Anthony, yeah, my guy Anthony. But I mean, and Marcus.
Marcus.
I definitely say Hillcrest. No, obviously that was a an option, going into this year.
We considered it.
But end up staying to Oakland.
So with that being said, when we were considering the transfer, because we considered the transfer from Maris your junior year.
Mm-hmm.
When we sat down as a family, did the whole pros and cons thing. I was hell bent on transferring you. Right, this was before Hines came on board and that whole situation with Trendle and all that. One of the things that I thought was really important that your mom and I have always appreciated, as far as you being who you are, is you always have these very particular moments where you speak up for yourself, right? Two that jump out at me was the first time when you used to have the mohawk and I wanted to cut your hair.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we were like on the way to the barbershop, and I'm like, we cutting this shit. I was talking like, we cutting this shit, and he was kind of, whatever. I could kind of see it in your face, and I'm like, all right, well, tell me one reason why I shouldn't. And he was like, because it's me, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, all right, fuck it, you can keep it then. When we sat down and was going through the pros and cons of transferring you, one thing that really stuck out while we left you there for your junior year was like you just kind of straight up told us like you wanted to be with your friends. Mm-hmm. And obviously being from Philly, being an outsider, I felt like that was important because like you had found a group of people that you really kind of like, you fought for that. Mm-hmm. And so we left you there for your junior year. Mm-hmm. So then talk a little bit about when we made the decision to transfer you after your junior year. Like what was the reason behind all of that?
I mean, well, I initially was going to stay at Maris, and then they whatever with my facial hair. So, I mean, I feel like going to Oakland, I feel like it would be an easy move. I could have went to Hillcrest. That would be the easy move, obviously, knowing a couple people there. But Oakland, new scenery. I met the coaches. They good people. Coach Rhodes, Coach CA, Coach Shad. Good people, and they're very welcoming in there. My first day in there for like the summer practice, everybody's very welcoming. I had to make sure I came in and proved myself. With like a nice little dunk or two. Mm-hmm. So that they didn't think like, oh, who's this guy coming in? Like, who do you think he is?
Right.
And I just show them a little bit. But I mean, going to Oakland, I feel like it helped my me be who I am. Like it helped me become more of the person that I am. Versus at Maris. Not necessarily I wasn't myself at Maris, but like I feel like I was more like attention seeking at Maris versus at Oakland. I could just lay back and
talk a little bit about that.
Like, at Maris, obviously, everybody wants to be, silly and funny. But I mean, like at Oakland, having, a lot of Muslims around and, everybody, they can just be themselves, dress how they want, wear what they want. Mostly, obviously, it's school appropriate. But, going to Oakland, I feel like it really shaped me, and, being better. Versus at Maris, it's like, wearing uniform every day, which there's no problem wearing a uniform every day, but it gets annoying after a while. But I just felt like Oakland had a different vibe to it than Maris did.
That's interesting. I'm hearing that for the first time. I mean, I can definitely appreciate that. I'm definitely glad to hear that. Was it difficult to transfer from Maris? I mean, being like your friends was there, your lady friend was there. Like, was that difficult?
A little bit. Obviously, knowing I had to, get build new relationships with people that I don't know, or that if I've seen them in a video, whatever. But it was a little bit difficult. But I mean, I knew the basketball team would have me after that first day, that first summer day. I was like, okay, yeah, like I feel like my guys will they'll spread the word that
Okay.
that I'm a good dude.
Okay. Talk about the differences and Talk about the differences and the similarities in Coach Rose and Coach Hines. So start with the differences. How different are they as coaches?
How different they are. Coach Rhodes, I feel like they have two different ways of coaching. Obviously, Coach Rhodes, he'll let us play a little bit, but he also is like going to make sure that we like do run the play. But he'll let us he adjusts to how his team is. So it's like the year before I got there with Big Day Day and Nico, all of them, they had a certain way of playing. Versus this year we had to play a little bit more small ball because we didn't have no big for real. With Hines, and there's no knock to Hines at all. He kind of not necessarily forced us, but it was all play based. Like we had to run a play.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, get out, score in transition. That's cool, but if we run a play, run another play, or run that same play over again until it worked. That was the real difference.
Okay. What would you say is the similarities in them?
The similarities, they're both players, coaches. They both know they're going to bond with their players. Both bald. Both similarities, I guess. But, they're both cool. Both, gained a ton of respect, from them, and I got to build a good relationship with them, over the last 2 years. So,
Okay. When it came to choosing Oaklawn or staying at Marist, do you feel like you made the right decision?
Yes, but I feel like I should have made that decision. I should have went to Oakland my junior year. Oakland had a nice team. They ended up playing Kenwood like I did this year. But I feel like if I was at Oakland last year, I feel like we would beat Kenwood. I feel like we would have, beat Kenwood this year if I, stay healthy. Unfortunately, I had a injury, a torn my ACL, against a big rivalry game versus EP. But I do feel like I should have transferred a year earlier though.
Okay. So one thing I do want to ask you, knowing that your injury was really, really tough, you talked about that a little bit. What was the toughest thing about high school other than that?
Math class. But nah, toughest thing. I guess I could say the unnecessary drama a little bit, but I mean that comes with high school, I guess. But I never really had any difficulties. Obviously, like I said, besides math class, but I never really had any difficulties. Some drama I could have avoided, obviously, but I think the injury was probably the
toughest.
It was definitely the toughest, Like I said, getting injured against EP. Rushing back. I took a week off and then tried to rush back to play against Stag. Because, that's another rivalry game that, I want to play against. Again, re-injured at practice, which I think was the ACL injury.
Right.
Because I think the injury against EP, I did a hop step, and I think it just hyperextended and probably just strained my knee, but or sprained it, whatever. And then at practice was when it I think it tore a try like to shuffle, guard Corey, and there's no whatever to Corey because like it's like a switch. I tried to plant and slide a little bit and just whatever. But I mean, yeah, I think that's what got it. But I was rehabbing. I was rehabbing. It looked good. I was jumping. Shout out to Paul, obviously. Getting me back right and gonna get back with him soon. But rehab, jumping, running. I had the brace on. I was looking good. I went to practice, looking good. I was dunking. I was looking like myself just with a brace on.
Mm-hmm.
And then day of the Lamont game, we go to the doctors. Or not even day of the Lamont game. I remember because when y'all text me after we got the MRI, sitting in the study hall in the library. I texted you and you was like, I don't think you should practice today. I'm like, oh, why not? I just had a good practice yesterday. And you sent me the
verbiage.
The verbiage. I was like, I need you to break this down. I don't know
what I'm reading.
I don't know what I'm reading. Like, I'm seeing all these long words. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking it's like, was it like bruised? Like, he was like, it's torn. I was like, torn? Don't feel torn. I mean, it was swollen a little bit. But it was like, I didn't really feel torn. And like, I always tell people, like, I would have thought in the moment it would have hurt more. Like, against, obviously it's going to hurt. It's like, you just ivermectin your knee, or you just messed your knee up. But like, I was able to walk, especially after the second one. I was able to walk. I was able to drive. Like, they would drive back to Uncle Booker's house or his apartment, I should say, and call you and let you know what happened. But I thought it was good, and we went to the doctors that morning against the Lamont game, and the doctor was like, I mean, it looks good. They did the little test on it. I was gonna wear the brace, but they gave us a new brace. I'm not going whatever about the brace, whether or not
it would have made a difference.
And that's another what if. I just wore the brace I was using. I was planning on putting that brace on, but I just put that one particular brace that they gave us on just to kind of start out the game. But I guess I should have put the other brace on. And I mean, I know you wanted me to put on those compression bands, and that could have been another what if. But I mean, it's in the past now. Then getting back in the game against Lamont. Obviously I didn't start. Coming off the bench and getting back in the game, it was like a different energy. Like getting back in the game, the crowd that was there, they was like, oh, he's back, whatever. Going down, it felt good. Like it felt, I played some good defense. It was like a moment where I almost got a steal. I was like, okay. I got the steal. And I was like, okay. Now I'm thinking like, okay. Just thinking about the landing. I wasn't really thinking what I was gonna do, whatever. I could have dunked it,
right.
Whether I was gonna dunk it or just, lay it up. I was just really thinking about the landing, that whole, all those dribbles down. And I didn't even know it was like someone behind me. It was Ryan Renos, good player, young player. I went up for a layup and I like kind of looked down just to make sure I like landed more on my left leg than my right leg, and I just like kind of just gave out. And then as I'm sitting there, the play they went back down, and I bet the refs blow the whistle. The refs blow the whistle. I just look at y'all, like just
like you knew.
Yeah, I kind of knew. Then obviously going in the trainer's room, it kind of really hit. In there that my season was over with. That's why, like, kind of now, anytime someone asks me about it, like if it's a young player, if it's not a young player, like someone older than me, I guess, or someone the same age, I'm telling them about it. Like, I try not to take. I know now they could be taken away, via injury or just like any other way. Like I try not to take it for granted no more. Like try to take it more seriously now. So
Okay. What's your thoughts on this whole John Morant stuff? Like, what do you think about that?
I love Ja on the court. John Morant is, someone I like to watch. While he's playing, try to take his like little drop cross move. I like to watch, a few players, but his off the court actions is I don't really know. Obviously it's bad. I mean, it's in Memphis, it's not illegal to have a gun. It's just the image for the NBA, because he has like little kids looking up to him, and they see that, and like kind of like how you say, like they see that and they think it's okay. They think having a gun is okay. They think showing it on Instagram Live or showing it on your story, they think that's okay. I mean, I'm just like, you try to be someone that you're not. Like, you're an NBA player. Like, be an NBA player. I'm not saying that that's all you have to be, but like, show like be like how like LeBron is. I mean, not like to like the fullest extent, because LeBron can be corny sometimes, but I mean, like, just be chill. Like, just play the game. Like, do like Twitch stream. Like, that's what a lot of players do. Like, they play the game. They like stream on Twitch or they stream on YouTube and all that stuff. But I don't really know what Ja. I feel like it's just the people around him, really. And I mean, like, one of his friends, he was like suspended from all the games. Like, he couldn't even go to no games, like, because from the one game against like the Pacers, he tried to walk on the court. It's like it was a little scuffle. So I feel like it's like really people around him, like kind of that's what you said, the people around me, making sure that I'm got my head on it straight. And I feel like the people around him and has taken like an influence on what he's doing. Cause I mean, everybody like sees like the old pictures of him, like they know what school he went to and all that. Like they like trolling him about that. Like, I mean, I just say, like, don't be the person, like, don't be what you see on like online.
Okay. Last couple of questions. So you going to Indiana Tech in the fall?
Yes.
Full scholarship. Great opportunity for you. Your mother and obviously Ziggy are really happy and excited for you. The next stage of your life, college is so much fun, and you get a chance to do it while playing basketball. So like I had a ball at college, brother. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. That's probably one of the reasons why I haven't really finished yet. I'm a 62-year college. I'm still working on my degree, but college is fun, man. What type of player is Coach Albert and Indiana Tech? What type of player are they getting?
They're getting an exciting player. A player that's coming in, obviously, coming in off an injury that's, like I said, not taking it for granted, ready to work. I mean, I know it's going to, the people in there that's already there, I expect them to push me to, be better than what I was this past year, or better than what I think I am right now. So I really think it's a good opportunity. They're like the top ranked NAIA in the nation, like top 10.
Yeah, they coming off a national championship game.
Coming off a national championship game. Me and my dad was watching the games, and I mean, trying to get them back next year, and trying to go back to the national championship for NAIA next year. They they're getting a good player out of me. Coming in, working, coming in with crew, coming in with Jaden and the people who are down there, Max, Steele, some of the other guys that's down there, they, okay. Brady, they're getting someone's ready to work, ready to win.
Are you excited about college?
I don't know if it's really hit me yet. You know, it's not far away, but it's a few months away. So I mean, I am excited to play again. That's what I'm really excited for mainly. But I haven't really thought about it. Like just thinking like obviously I know I'm not gonna be at home. I'm going to be 2-3 hours away in Fort Wayne. Living on campus. So I mean, I guess that really hasn't hit me yet. I know Ziggy's gonna be whatever. I know y'all gonna try to make as many games as y'all can. I know y'all gonna be watching.
That's gonna be a little different, I'm sure, for all of us because we've been at all of your games almost, damn near.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of gonna be like how it was with COVID a little bit. Watching the game on the TV, having the live stream up. I mean I know y'all gonna be at the first game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's like all the other games they going out throughout the season. Traveling for basketball, not just for AAU, but traveling during the season. I'm sure it's going to be a little new for me. I mean, I'm sure it won't really have a big effect. At least I hope not. But I feel like it's going to be a good experience. Getting that college experience.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to.
You won't be like the Transformers.
Yeah.
Scene? Look at his baby boots.
Yeah. I'm not even going front. I'm actually. I think I did a good job at your graduation recently, but I'm not fully ready to let go yet. Honestly. So I'm really preparing myself for that. Just watching you develop to those next stages of your life has been very rewarding, and so like dropping you off at college and then having to leave you there, like just thinking about it like gives me anxiety. It gives me a lot of anxiety. Just kind of metaphorically, like I don't want to lose you. Like I mean, I know you're at college, like so. Mm-hmm. I know where you are, but you leaving the nest, like that's.
I mean, I already got like a semi taste of it, going to Uncle Booker.
Right. So that helped me a little bit as well.
Yeah, I feel like that probably definitely helped me. Just obviously not bringing my game with me, whatever. But I mean, just sitting there and having to get food myself and having to wake up myself, which is it's not really a problem. Set my timer, but I mean it's helped. Having to sleep in a different whatever than the house.
Right.
So I mean I feel like I'll be all right.
I feel like you're gonna be all right too. I really do. Like I think that you are going to adapt and adjust really well. So I do think that you're gonna be all right. I think it's me that needs to really begin to come to grips with, you leaving the nest. So I'm excited for you, more so from the fun standpoint because I know how fun college is, but I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I'm scared. I'm excited. I'm very. I don't know. It's going to be different not having you there every day, or at least knowing I know where you are, but it's going to be different. It is going to be different. So, all right. So I don't want to keep talking because I feel like I'm getting a little. I can feel the frog in my throat a little bit as I'm talking about it. So it is very emotional for me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not emotional for me. I know that you and your mom y'all do a really good job of like y'all know when I'm in that space and y'all kind of like, all right, Dad's in that space, so let's kind of whatever. But I also sometimes I feel like I try to hide it from y'all because I feel like sometimes y'all playfully tease me and I don't necessarily like it because I feel like I'm in my genuine element. Like I always want you to know how I feel about you, how much I care about you, how much I love you. So, I try to just internalize it, but I know that y'all know when I'm in that space. So like, anyway, all right. So my last question to you is, I want you to give a scouting report on me and your mother.
A scouting report?
or your scouting report? Like, you know.
Like in basketball terms?
No,
Or
just in
like
parenting.
in parent. Well, I mean, I don't really know how to do that. I don't know. I mean,
Who's your favorite?
Next question. I'm just here so I don't get fined. But nah, I mean, y'all cool. I mean, it's no like it's nothing bad. Obviously, with y'all, y'all have different ways of addressing things. You know, mommy's a little more. I can't not necessarily understand, but like more soft with her approach. I mean, you get a little rough with it, but it's like I feel like you've known when to like be aggressive or not, like with depending on how the situation is, and mommy as well, but it's like good cop, bad cop, a little bit. I can flip flop between what.
Do you get surprised on when we do who plays the good cop, bad cop in certain situations?
Now, no, but I notice it's more it's like reverse now. Like you're the good cop, mommy's the bad cop. Sometimes. Like when I was younger, it was more like obviously mommy's the good cop, you're the bad cop. I mean, no, like whatever, but like I feel like now, anytime a situation comes up or something happens or talking is, and it's not that I'm saying that one does not understand, but it's like you are a little bit like you understand a little bit more now, and I know mommy does as well. But like like how like with your approaches, like I mean I know you've told me that like you was like gonna like try to like work on it a little bit. But I mean, like I said, it's nothing bad like between you and mommy. This way of parenting, I like it. I mean, it could be times where it's like, okay, like, y'all doing so much. But I mean, I know it's all like I said, it's like how you say with coaching. It's like if they're not saying something to you, they don't really rock with you. If they are saying something, they rock with you. Because I kind of took that and used that with my mindset whenever y'all are getting on me or whatever.
Right. All right. Well, in there, and one last thing I do want to say, we rocking your shirts here, and your merchandise here, the Man Child, which is a name that Will gave you back in 7th grade, I think it was.
Yeah,
6th or 7th grade.
All-star game at Batson.
Yep. So shout out to Will Harris.
Shout out to Will. Yes.
But I mean, anything you want to say? I mean, this you're obviously the first. Rightfully so. Like I wasn't going to do anything like this and not include the reason why I started this entire platform. So anything you want to say or that you feel is necessary to let people know about you?
I mean, I've always wanted to do a podcast. Seeing I Am an Athlete and like all these other podcasts. There's another one I watch. I'm an Athlete is like pretty much like really the main one I watch. But I've always wanted to do a podcast. I've always like joke with Nick and Kamai while we play the game about doing a podcast. Whether we do a podcast while playing a game or just doing one, like just like whatever. But I've always wanted to do a podcast, and it's kind of like checking off the bucket list a little bit. But as a person, me, I'm just myself. I play the game all day, just be chilling. Wanting to hoop, but just a silly guy at times. That's really what I do.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being our first guest. You did it pretty good, man.
Yes.
You enlightened me and added something to the whole thing. Appreciate you. I love you.
Yeah, salute you, sir.
We're going to sign off. We will have more episodes of Xposure Runs, the podcast. We have some great guests for you guys. Hopefully, in the next few episodes, we've confirmed the Fierce Brothers. We've confirmed Quentin. We've confirmed the Donardo Bros. And we're going to keep shooting. I'm going to get some female guests on here. So, we signing off for this first episode, and we look forward to seeing y'all for the future. Appreciate y'all.